What's up, YouTube? This is Two Raw Classics. So in this video, I want to talk about Lauryn Hill. Okay, she doesn't exactly fall in the unsung category because she definitely made her mark. I mean, at one point in time, she was the premier star uh, in hip hop and beyond hip hop, and the world was her oyster. Um, she could have went on to extreme superstardom, but the trappings of fame and the trappings of megastardom, I should say, was too much for her. It's not everybody's forte, and she slowly but gradually disappeared from the limelight. And with the exception of some sporadic touring um, and some token appearances, she's been largely out of the limelight for the better part of 20 years. And it's hard to believe that it's been almost a quarter of a century since she made her debut solo album and apparently, pretty much like her only real solo album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. But that album was so groundbreaking, so phenomenal. Uh, it doesn't matter if she didn't make another album. She made her mark with that one. That album helped to usher in a new type of music. Um, it was hip hop, but it was also R&B. It was calypso. It was, you know, uh, I guess it helped to also usher in the neo soul era, and you started seeing people like Erica Badu and others. You know what I'm saying? It was such a groundbreaking album, and it came at such a pivotal time in hip hop. But I'll get to that in a little bit later. A little bit later, but um, before that, she was known for her association with the Fugees, with Pras and Wyclef Jean, but clearly she was the most talented of the three. Not a knock on the other two. Pras, I just pretty much remember for Ghetto Superstar, which he made with Maya, who I would love to pound feverishly into submission. And then there's Wyclef Jean, who's probably better known for his production skills rather than so-called mic skills, but he's not bad. But clearly, Lauryn Hill was the cream of the crop when it came to that group, man. Very, very talented. But she was born in 1975 in New Jersey. Her parents were pretty well-to-do. She didn't come from the hood, you know what I'm saying? Her parents, um, believe her father was a computer and management consultant. Her mother was an English teacher. And her family, who were Baptists, spent a short time in New York before settling in South Orange, New Jersey. And she grew up loving music, having a huge love for music. She used to fall asleep to Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On." Her earlier musical influences included Stevie Wonder, Curtis Mayfield, Aretha Franklin, and Gladys Knight. When she was in middle school, she performed the Star Spangled Banner before a basketball game. It was such a popular performance that subsequent games featured a recording of her rendition. In 1988, when she was about 13 years old, she appeared as an amateur night contestant on the Showtime at the Apollo, singing her version of Smokey Robinson's "Who's Loving You." She attended Columbia High School, and at Columbia High School, she was a member of the track team, a cheerleading squad, and she was a classmate of future actor Zach Braff. Zach Braff was known as the star of that great 2000 sitcom Scrubs. Um, she was an A plus student for the most part, and she excelled in everything she competed in. And she said that later on, it wasn't that she just had a love for everything that she tried. It was just that she had a love for achievement, and she loved to master and achieve everything that she entered. Um, when she was a freshman in high school, she was approached by Procasrio Mitchell Praz about a music group he was creating, and they began recording under the name Translator Crew. Another female vocalist was soon replaced by Michelle's cousin, multi-instrumentalist Wyclef Jean. The group began performing in local showcases and high school talent shows. Initially, Hill was just a singer, but then learned how to rap too. But instead of modeling herself off of contemporary female rappers of the time, she preferred listening to male rappers like Ice Cube and developed her flow from listening to them. She also took acting lessons at this time. She began her acting career in 1991 appearing with Wyclef Jean in Club 7, MC Light's off-Broadway hip-hop rendering of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. Those of you who are movie aficionados probably also remember her from being in Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit, where she played Rita Louise Watson, an inner-city Catholic school teenager with a surly, rebellious attitude. She also appeared in Steven Soderbergh's 1993 motion picture King of the Hill. In 1993, Pras Hill and John renamed their group the Fugees, a derivative of the word refugee, which was a derogatory term for Haitian Americans. It was at this time that Hill began a romantic relationship with Wyclef Jean. The Fugees, who signed a contract with Columbia Records Records in '93, became known for their genre blending, particularly of reggae, rock, and soul. Their first album, their debut album, Blunted on Reality, sold poorly and was met by poor critical reviews due to the fact that their management insisted that they adopt gangster rap attitudes. The Fugees' second album, The Score, which debuted in 1996, peaked at number one on the U.S. Billboard 200 and sold 7 million copies in the U.S. and more than 22 million copies worldwide. Singles from the score included Fuji La and Ready or Not, which highlighted Hill's singing and rapping abilities, and the Bob Marley cover No Woman, No Cry. Her rendition of Killing Me Softly became the group's breakout hit. The album won the Grammy Award for Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocals. On the album, Hill combined African American music and Caribbean music influences with socially conscious lyrics. The next year, the Fugees split to work on solo projects, which Jean later blamed on his tumultuous relationship with Hill and the fact he married his wife, Claudinette, while still involved with Hill. Meanwhile, in the summer of '96, Hill had met Rohan Marley, a son of Bob Marley and a former University of Miami football player. Hill began a relationship with him while still also involved with John. Hill became pregnant in late 1996, and on August 3rd, 1997, Marley and Hill's first child, Zion David, was born. Hill recorded her solo record, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, from late '97 through June '98 at Tough Gong Studios in Jamaica. In terms of production, Hill collaborated with a group of musicians known as Newark, consisting of Vada Nobles, Rashid Pooh, Tajamal Newton, and Jahari Newton. Hill later said that she wanted to write songs that lyrically moved her and have the integrity of reggae and the knock of hip hop and the instrumentation of classic soul. Released on August 25th, 1998, the album received rave reviews from contemporary music critics and was the most acclaimed album of 1998. Critics lauded the album's blending of the R&B, doo-wop, pop, hip-hop, and reggae genres, and its honest representation of women's life and relationships. It sold over 420,000 copies in its first week and topped the Billboard 200 for 4 weeks and the Billboard R&B charts, R&B album charts for 6 weeks. It went on to sell about 10 million copies in the United States and 20 million copies worldwide. During 1998 and 1999, Hill earned $25 million from record sales and touring. The first single released from the album was Doo Wop or That Thing. Other charted singles from the album were X Factor, which has been sampled by Drake and Cardi B, Everything is Everything, and To Zion. In November of '98, Marley and Hill's second child, Celia Louise, was born. In the run-up to the 1999 Grammy Awards, Hill became the first woman to be nominated in 10 categories in a single year. During the ceremony, Hill broke another record by becoming the first woman to win 5 times in one night, taking home the albums for album of the year, best R&B album, best R&B song, best female R&B vocal performance, and best new artist. During the acceptance speech, she said, "This is crazy. This is hip hop." And I wanted to make this point before I end this. Um, Her album came at what I consider the high point of hip hop, when hip hop finally was starting to gain mainstream acceptance. But it also came at a time when critically hip hop was still at a high level. You know what I'm saying? The art of hip hop, was still at a very, very high level and was years away from the decline that I think started sometime in the early to mid 2000s. But this would be the high point of her career. Afterwards, she was getting a lot of movie offers. She was offered the role that Lucy Liu eventually took in the Charlie Angels movies. That was initially offered to Lauryn Hill. She was offered roles in The Matrix that could have totally altered her career and made her a movie star, you know. But she wasn't interested in these things. She complained about not being able to go anywhere without being mobbed by fans, and that she always had to. Um, she couldn't even go to the store unless she looked perfect. You know what I'm saying? Paparazzi and all these things, and she began to largely disappear from the limelight. She did make an album, acoustic. What was it? An unplugged MTV thing. I think in 2002. I think it was around the time she was pregnant with her third child, and the reviews from that were mixed. And then afterwards, she pretty much disappeared from the limelight altogether. There were some recordings here or there, some sporadic touring, uh, but nothing substantial over the past, I think, 15 to 20 years. So she's now 46 years old. She has a large family. I would imagine she's now a grandmother at this point. Being that her first child was born in 1997, she's probably a grandmother now. Still beautiful, and I think that she's content with her life. She's a lot of people don't want to deal with Hollywood, man. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to deal with all that bullshit. So she's made her mark, and at the end of the day, that's pretty much all I can say. I got to on this channel. I don't have the luxury of going over 15 minutes, so I can't be as detailed as I want to be. But that's about it for Lauryn Hill, man. Tell me what you guys think.